God, 21 years now. So
that's a unique first turtle, man.
It's not my first turtle, but it's the
Okay.
one turtle that I have had the longest, and the one species. When I got rid of everything else and I only had one species, it's the one species I've had ever since the beginning. So I've had him the longest. His name is Gonzo, and he's just been around forever. So so he's my first, and definitely my easiest, because honestly, he's on an auto feeder. I don't pay any attention to him, and he's all set. So he is the easiest species I've ever had to deal with. So and less stress than anything I've ever had too.
What are you auto feeding him?
He's turtle pellets. He gets turtle pellets and algae wafers out of oh my God, it's an old aquarium farm fish feeder, and it just rotates and feeds them a couple times a day. And he usually grabs everything he can, but the fish definitely do a nice job cleaning up on them. So yeah, I mean, honestly, no one ever believed me, but I used to keep fly rivers with discus, and a fly river with discus. I was like, you can't do it. You can't do it. I'm like, I can do it. And oh my God, my discus tank with a fly river swimming through it every now and then was just so cool. So
stunning, I'm sure.
That's fantastic.
What do you think the secret was to being successful with that?
Not listening to other people. They both like warm water, so it was everyone's just saying the discus aren't going to handle the amount of waste that the turtle puts out there, but I have a really good filtration system, so I never had to worry about water quality. The water quality was what it was. So
what kind of filtration system is it?
I use a wet dry. I use a sump filtration system. So
really?
It's all biological. I do have a couple canisters on there, but I am one of those guys that once that canister is closed, I don't want to open it again. So and I come from that type of industry, and I'm like, I'm not opening that anytime soon. It's a lot of work. So
yeah, we do ours every few months, and every time I do, I just have to brace my nose because I'm like, it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's the average.
That's not been my experience with canisters, and I use a lot.
Really?
It's just, compared to an old hang on the back filter where you just take a cartridge and throw it out, it's just so much more work. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a ton of them, but I only clean each one maybe 3 times a year at the most. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have to add a lot of quick start too, right? Just like add the good bacteria every time you clean your filter. I feel like that's the part that gets me caught up because it's so expensive. No. We can talk off camera here, but you have a pretty big biological bed on the bottom. You have a great sand bed. There is no reason for you to have to add biological all the time. Yeah. There's no reason for you to add biological at all, period. Really? What am I doing wrong?
You have a bacterial, you already have a cycle done. So by all means, you can add some, but you don't have to make it crazy. We can talk.
You have to stop by the center then and show me what I'm doing wrong.
You're not doing anything wrong. You're just trying to be too clean, in all honesty.
Just be an extra.
Yeah. Yeah, I have been known to do that.
These guys are both take their enclosure designs. Actually, all 3 of you really take your enclosure designs very seriously. And we're going to get into that today. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Should we get into it?
We should. I feel like that's a good segue to just roll in. Maybe we're a couple minutes earlier than we wanted to be, but let's do it.
Yeah. We can do what we want.
Welcome to the Pondcast, the destination for insightful discussions and interviews on the appreciation, conservation, and husbandry of reptiles, with a focus on turtles and tortoises. Now, let's join our team of turtle nerds.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Pondcast. Mark is here. Hey Mark, how's it going?
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Did you have a good birthday?
I worked my birthday, so it's fine. We're actually celebrating this Saturday. We're going to go to an escape room.
Ooh, that's fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
So did any friends come and visit you on your birthday while you were working, or?
I had these 3 turtle nerds show up where I was at, and made me really jealous that I couldn't walk around with them, but they were really nice and came over. So,
I mean, as much as I'd love to give us credit for being like good friends, we also, we were going for the reptile show that you were working at, but that's okay.
yeah, you just wanted the passes to get in. Who you guys kidding? I know what you were.
I remembered it was your birthday without you telling me, and I called you at like 4 a.m. to say happy birthday because I knew you were on the road. I was too.
I was definitely on the road.
That's next level. It's becoming very easy to remember my friends' birthdays. I'm August 7th, and you and Maurice are September 7th, and Chris Leone and Ralph are October 7th. So it's like month after month after month.
When's mine?
Yours is June 18th.
Close, 19th.
God dang it, June 19th. I'm embarrassed.
When's mine?
I have no clue.
Also
Okay.
June.
You gotta give me like 5. You gotta give me like five years at least.
It's Carmen Electra's birthday, remember? I have the same birthday as Carmen Electra. It's 4/20.
Oh, you told me that, but I don't remember the date
That's
though.
right.
Yeah, that's okay.
You said who you shared your birthday with, but I don't remember the date.
Yeah, it was a few sad things too, but 4/20,
Oh,
easy for
Yeah, I
everyone
feel
to
like a lot of
remember.
our friends would remember that because of 420, not because of Carmen Electra. Just saying.
I would have
Yeah.
remembered it. Yeah. Wow. Isn't that like next to Earth Day? Isn't Earth Day like 4/22 or something? You just missed
Yeah,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
It's right around there.
it.
And that's the week they do turtle and TTPG does their turtle and tortoise week too.
Okay.
Yep.
See,
So-
it's not that bad.
Did anyone notice Sam's super chat there?
I just did. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that.
Good
What happened?
observation, Sam. Yeah, he says Mark is bald.
I have a shaved head. I don't know why this is hard for you guys to understand. I
love
shave my head.
Steve put it up there. Oh,
Thank you,
I'm bald.
Steve.
Mark is trendy. I'm bald.
I've been shaving my head for a very long time when God decided
So-
to cut my hair. But yes, I shaved my head.
The question is, did you shave your head before you started losing it or after?
We won't talk about that. I can tell you I was in a hotel, and you know how the hotel has like a mirror and then a mirror on the door? And I looked in the mirror and I saw the mirror in the door and I'm like, oh God. And I saw the big empty spot back here. I'm like, yeah.
That's it.
So we went on a vacation. I went into the bathroom. I chopped up. I just started shaving it. I came out and everyone was like, what did you just do? But it is what it is.
Some people
I
are
love
good
the
with it.
direction this went.
I definitely gave up.
I love it.
Some people.
All right,
people are
folks,
good
I'm
with
going to
it.
get us back
You
on
wanna-
turtles.
Get us back on turtles. Get us back on track, please, EmmaLee. Help us out.
So, for anyone who does not have the pleasure of knowing Mark, the reason that we invited him here tonight, for me personally, is because he has the most beautiful at-home setups for his turtles. If you've ever seen them, they are second to none. We have some pictures of them. We're going to share them as we're talking about them. But first, I want to ask you, what was the inspiration for all of your beautiful outdoor exhibits that you have?
You know what? I just wanted a backyard zoo, but I wanted exhibits. I didn't want cages. I wanted exhibits. I wanted to be able to go back there and be like, this is gorgeous. Come back and see what I've done. You know, I didn't want just blank empty tubs. So, and that's always been who I have been. Like with my fish tanks and everything, I just wanted it to look as natural as possible. So.
Yeah. Okay. I think we have a photo of one of your Waterland tubs that you build this beautiful case around it. Steve, if you can pull that up, that would be amazing.
I'll try to find that one.
I've never seen someone make a Waterland tub look that beautiful. You sent us a picture of that one, right?
Yeah. That's the Nanis enclosure, and that Waterland tub was donated to me by Kevin Mintos. So appreciate that. And as Anthony says, Waterland enclosures look like high heel boots. So
They do.
That's a good way to put it.
I attempt to try to make it look nicer. So that's the that's the Nanis African dwarf mud turtles. And I do have my 2 albino sliders in there as well. And yeah, I just needed it to look. That's on the deck where my pool is. And I just needed it to look good while people were over enjoying the pool. So that was the thought behind that. So
Yeah.
and,
So let's see. Functionally, you just have is that a Zillow filter on there, and you can just change out the cartridge?
Yeah, that's a Zilla cartridge filter. And I don't know if I actually need it because I do overflow that. There's an overflow on it, so if the water level gets too high, it will actually drain automatically.
Okay.
And I do drain it. I do refill it often to flush the water out, just because I want to, not because I have to. I didn't have any algae problems or anything like that, but I do try to do that just to keep the mosquitoes down, so I don't have any mosquitoes. But with the running filter, it keeps the mosquitoes at a low. So
functionally, do you keep the lid open all the time, or do you keep it closed for predators?
So don't jinx me. I never close that lid. Only because it crushes my plants, and that's the only reason I haven't closed that lid. But I have the option to close that lid. It is right next to the house, so I haven't had any predator problems there. I did have a little issue with a raccoon this year, but thankfully I didn't lose a single animal, so that was good. So I have the ability to close it, but I really don't. So let's hope I don't have to.
Okay.
I know I should. I know I should. I'm going to see it in the chat now. Like you're playing, you're gambling it, but yeah, it's been pretty good so far.
Damon Barnes would like to know, what is the wood frame for besides the siding?
I don't know if you do have a picture from the side
the lid.
to see what it looks like.
Yeah, is there? I think you sent another picture.
There you go.
There.
So the only reason the wood frame is there is to make it look good. That's it. I didn't want a black tub on my patio.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Do you have it up on a platform? Oops, sorry. Go ahead, Anthony.
No, please go ahead.
I was just curious if it's up on a platform or not.
The Waterland tub is on. There's a couple bricks underneath it to raise it up so that when I drain the water level, it actually drains out versus being on the ground.
Brilliant.
But it's only about 6 inches off the ground. That's it. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, even on my stock tanks inside, I put them all up on 4x4s, so I get a little bit of extra altitude for when if I ever need to drain anything or whatever else.
Yeah, it definitely makes it easy because I did put a hole in the bottom of that tub. Sorry, Kevin. So that I can just pull the drain and flush it when I need to as well.
Yeah.
So I am going to add more water to it for the winter, and I'm going to try to keep my albino sliders out there this year, and I will definitely keep the lid on it. So
yeah,
I say that, but they're two of my favorite species. And I know they're just albino sliders, but they're two of my favorite animals. So I don't know. I might bring them in anyways because I worry about them. But
yeah,
I'm that guy. And this is the guys that are in there. Let's see. I don't know if you can see this guy. Nanis.
Shoot.
Got you coming in.
Can you guys see him?
There we go.
There.
Yeah. So this is the guys that are in there. There is a 2.6 out there. And this is a full-grown breeding female. When I say she's breeding, she's definitely breeding, but I haven't got eggs out of this one yet. So I just thought I'd show her off.
Of course.
It is a cool species. I got to talk EmmaLee into getting these because I think she's love them. But she likes big turtles. I like little turtles.
You're a turtle pusher. Yeah.
Now, one point I wanted to make, if you don't mind, so that box that you built around the waterland, one of the issues with waterlands and covering them and keeping them predator proof is that odd shape where you have one level, then the diagonal down to another level. And you see people make 3-piece covers that sometimes they have hinges, sometimes they're just 3 parts that are in that shape, but it's a difficult bit of craftsmanship that you have to do. So just one thing that I just want to give you props is, it's a very simple design that you came up with that then levels the plane that you're then building that cover for and makes it look a lot more beautiful. And then also my question, to build those sides, did you just use pressure treated 6-inch fence slats?
Yeah, that's just fence slat. That's all it is.
Cut in half?
Fence slat.
You cut them in half?
Yeah. Yeah, whatever the measurement I have. I mean, there might not be, about half, I would say.
Yeah, so those are really cheap and they do really well. They last a long time. That's what my fences are made of in my for my pens. They're great and lightweight, really nice material.
Hey, Steve, can you go back to that photo again? Because there's one other thing I wanted to point out that I did that I like for that one right there.
Yeah.
So I also have a problem because these guys have such tiny little feet, and that's just me being overprotective of my animals, but they suck climbing up that ramp with the little bumps. So I took a cork tile background from ZoomEd and actually siliconed it into the bottom ramp, and now they can climb up it real easily. So, and it's basically liquid nails, so it's not coming up, which I thought worked out really well for them.
They were those ramps.
I love that.
What happens with those ramps is the grooves, which are very wide and spread apart, to your point, they don't go all the way to the edge, to the corner. And the turtles like to go up the edges right where the wall is. And I watch turtles on the camera, big turtles, 8-inch turtles that can't climb up because they've got their foot on the groove over here, but then the foot that's right up against the wall has no groove. So I'm watching them try to get their traction the whole way up and not really doing it successfully. This is just awesome.
Yeah, I was really happy with that. I just, I'd go out there and they'd just be like, it would be a slide. They just kept trying to get up and just slide back in. I'm like, these poor things. So it was just the way I managed to make it work for them. So
yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's genius. And you have another design that I really like too. I'm not sure that it's like a greenhouse with a lid on it. It looks like it's in the corner of your house. Did you build that? We have a photo of that one too, Steve.
Yeah, I am not a carpenter, but my stepfather is. So he is unfortunately helped me out a lot, but I'm sure I drive him nuts because I'm like, hey, I need to build this. So this actual enclosure was my original Russian tortoise enclosure. And I had way too many animals in that tiny enclosure, unfortunately. So I felt bad for him. I'm like, I need a bigger enclosure. So this one got moved to the side of the house. And that's also made from pressure treated wood. I do have you're getting the whole tour now. This is so this enclosure you're looking at right now is actually the Chinese box turtle enclosure. Are we going forward or are we stopping?
Yeah, let's see.
I paused it because I thought you were going to continue on the other enclosure.
Oh yeah, let's go back to the other one. So the other enclosure,
that first one.
Yeah, so that other enclosure, if you look at the bottom, I have some, it is on concrete slabs, actually footers, and then that goes down about 2.5 feet as well. So I think my animals could winter out there. I have yet to test it out. And the other option I have is when you close those lids, I have the polycarbonate sheets, and it will actually turn it into like a greenhouse. So, So I'm hoping I am going to test it out this year, and there's a couple animals that are going to stay out there this year, and we're going to see how they do. I think they should be okay, and we'll go from there. So this year I also. Where those two between those two hostas are, I took basically a black tub with a lid. I cut a hole in it. I put it underground. So now that the animals can get right underneath that, and then I covered that and mounted that up. So there's actually like a hibernacular in there as well as it being a hibernacular. So trying to make it as possible for these animals to act as natural as they can without me bothering them. So
can we continue on that tour? Let's see a little bit more of the video to the enclosure that's right behind it.
Not until I call out the chat and just say that this is the most lively and aggressively ranking on people on the call chat that we've ever had in 100 and whatever it is. How many episodes?
You're talking about my beautiful hairstyle.
I know, but I just want to say we're going to get to why this is happening, and I can't tell you how much this warms my heart. So keep bringing the hate. Love it. Love it.
So for any of our folks who are reading the comments and wondering why everyone is pointing out that Mark is bald, these are all friends, and a few of them are going to make an appearance later. So
friendly.
All right, so let's talk about this one.
So those the next 3 enclosures, they measure 9 feet by 10 foot. Both the first 2 are box turtle enclosures. The one on the left is actually now my Chinese box turtle enclosure. And the one on the right is a 3-toed box turtle enclosure. And what's really cool on that one, you want to pause now because you're going to go too fast. What's really cool about that enclosure is I built basically cement basements in there. So there are 2 hibernaculars that they can go straight underground. They're about 2 feet deep as well. And then on top of that, I put another foot of soil on top of that. So they're very, very well insulated. I don't think I'm going to put the Chinese box turtles out this year. I hope next year I'll be able to do it. But the 3-toed box turtles came up with no problem last year. Had no issues whatsoever. So it worked out pretty good for them. I know a lot of people don't do anything for the 3-toed box turtles, but I worry about everything. So that's where they were. So
did you just say, I'm sorry, did the 3-toed stay out all winter?
They did last year. Yeah. And they all came up and they were absolutely easy going and fine. So they were eating right away. They took a while though. Like it was like, oh no, where are they? Where are they? Where are they? And then finally they came up. This year I now have an electric fence because the neighbor told me they saw a raccoon, and I was like, yeah, but it hasn't been in my yard. I haven't seen it. I'm fine, right? And then I told you I built that turtle basement there, and there were flies everywhere in the 3-toed box turtle enclosure. I'm like, oh no, I lost an animal. Like I literally thought like something died under there and I got to get it. So forgot about the raccoon that the neighbor just told me about maybe 20 minutes beforehand. Right. And I'm all the way to my shoulder in there trying to find a dead turtle, just patting around. And I'm like, I can't reach anything. And there's flies everywhere. So I get back out, I grab my phone, I turn the flashlight on, and I look in, and there is a raccoon staring at me. I could not have been more than 5 inches away from it. And I'm like, oh my God, I am so lucky I didn't get bit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I got lucky as hell, like super lucky. And so the next thing I did was I had to get rid of the raccoon. I did not kill it. I did get rid of him out of my yard, but I will tell you there was something wrong with that raccoon. So I guarantee you he did not live wherever he went. But I got him out of the yard. And then the next day I put electric fences everywhere. So
yeah,
whether they're going to work, I don't know. Anthony informed me that touching the ground for an electric fence to work. And that is on my fence line. So I actually put electric fence at the very top. So I get shocked when I touch it, but I don't know whether or not. I don't know if a raccoon will actually get shocked if they go over the fence. So, but
I think so. Yeah.
They have to be touching the ground, and it was. It's interesting. So I tested. Anthony's like, you got to be touching the ground for it to work. So I got on a board, and I'm like, yeah, I guess it doesn't work. So.
Really?
He's right. Yeah.
You tested it by hand?
I did. I get shocked all the time by it now. Like I'll be mowing the lawn and I'm like, oh, damn, I got too close. Yeah. It definitely wakes you up. It definitely wakes you up. So, yeah.
That's classic.
But yeah, so that happened. The raccoon was, I'm telling you, I am lucky I didn't lose a finger. I was right next to that thing. So,
yeah.
By the way, Mark, there's your solution. Thanks to Chris Drake.
Chris Drake is the best. Happy birthday, Chris Drake. I know it was yesterday.
Over in the chat, right up at the top.
Yeah.
Run a second wire next to it, hooked to a ground rod, and then it's always grounded.
That's what I was going to do. I haven't done it yet, but that was going to do. I was going to run a copper wire along the top of it. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to do. Thank you.
That's above my pay grade.
Yeah, my brother electrician told me I could do that. I was like, oh, perfect. Yeah. So Haven't got to that.
But then they grab both at the same time. You know.
And they're actually they're solar electric fences, and they actually deliver
that's
a nice.
awesome.
Yeah, they're both solar. So I have that on that enclosure that runs the 30 feet by 10 feet because it's 3 enclosures. Actually, it's a little more than that because I added more. And then I have another one on the Russian tortoise enclosure that also shocks me every time I mow the lawn. So yeah. But that one I don't have to worry about the fence line. That one's on the ground. So
I think we have some photos of your Russian enclosure too, right? Is that the one I'm obsessed with? I think.
Probably that's the one that's full of clover that no one believes my Russian tortoises don't eat it.
Oh. I think there was one more enclosure that you sent a photo of that it was just an immaculate habitat. If we have any other photos we haven't hit, definitely.
Oh yeah, we've got lots of photos we haven't hit yet. Let me. So here's the Russian tortoise one I think you were just talking about.
Yeah, so that's the Russian tortoise enclosure. That measures, God, I think it's got weird angles to it, but it's basically like 19 feet by 18 feet or something like that. So It's a pretty good size enclosure, and it's really well grown in. Last year I got eggs from these guys for the first time, and I was able to hatch 2 of them, which I was really excited about. This year I didn't find a single egg, so maybe I'll get ground hatches shortly. I don't know. I saw some nesting, but these guys did stay out year round. I had some animals that I did not find that dug down by themselves, and they came up and they were perfect. And the ones that I locked in the cold frame and made sure it was full of leaves and everything like that, they had a weird fungal infection on them when they first woke up. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I am really considering just covering the area with filling the whole thing with leaves, and maybe covering half with a tarp and leaving it alone, let them do their own thing, because they seem to have done really well without me intervening. So
yeah. How many animals do you have in there?
There is a 3.6.
Oh, okay.
It was a 3.10, but I did lose one this winter. Like I said, I had a problem with that fungal infection, and one animal I didn't catch in time. So
yeah.
All
right. Well, this is beautiful. I mean, 19 feet by what was it? 8 you said? That's insane.
About 18, but it's got kitty cornered corners. Mm-hmm. Those are my 2 male 3 toes. I think they're males.
Yeah. So stunning.
Yeah, there it is. That's the enclosure. So and there's no electric fence on it. Everything's really well grown in. But now it's getting close to the end of the season, so everything's starting to dry up and go away. So they've slowed down a lot too. They're eating, but they're nowhere near. Like I would put a bushel of produce out there, and now it's like, yeah, we'll eat when we get there. So, and the Russian tortoise, it was my very first tortoise, so that is the reason I picked that tortoise to work with. Mm-hmm. So I figured they needed a little love, and I know a lot of us are working with them, but they are not an easy species. I don't care what anyone says. They're not. They have not been easy. At least not up here. They haven't been. I know Steve Fuentes is going to tell me otherwise, but I have not found them to be that easy.
Yeah. What are some challenges that you found with them? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. First,
I would say, I was going to say, I would say a Russian tortoise is easy to help survive, but hard to help thrive.
I think that's fair. You know what the challenges is these are not captive bred animals. These are definitely imports when I got them. So I had the challenge of just getting through that initial import issues with them. Upper respiratory, honestly, like they look absolutely perfect, absolutely fine. And I'll be out there doing yard work, and all of a sudden I hear somebody wheezing, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? And I go in and I look, and by the time I catch it, like it's almost too late. Like it's just like I had enough time to bring it inside, put it under some heat lamps, and make an appointment for the vet and not make it to the vet. So, but that was the initial wild caught imports. If anyone can work with a species and not do wild caught imports, I guarantee you they'll do way better than I did starting off. It's just been challenging. But the group I have now has been with me for 3 years. How long have I known you, Anthony?
Yeah, I think it's funny. It feels like a lot longer because we're very close, but I do think it's been about 3 years.
So I would have had these guys 4 years. So I had them the year before I met Anthony. So this was the first species I added to my collection other than the fly river. So this was the first species I was working with. So.
And now you've got bad influences in your life that are really helping you take things to the next level.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. My electric bill thanks you, Anthony.
It makes me really proud because you call me this bad influence. And then before we went live, you're like, I'm trying to get, or no, you actually was when we were live. I can't remember, but you were like trying to get EmmaLee to take turtles. It makes me proud.
Oh yeah. I'm paying it forward. 100%.
That's what we do. That's what we do. Extreme keepers creating more
EmmaLee,
extreme keepers.
I would run now. I really would, because this is going to get worse for you.
Actually, Mark, it's so funny that Anthony says that, because when we were driving down to Pennsylvania the day that we saw you, I turned to Anthony and I was like, Mark is a little bit of a turtle pusher. He stopped by the center to bring us some turtles, and he was supposed to bring 1 or 2 turtles, and he brought 3 species of turtle, multiples of each. And I was just like, I couldn't believe it. He was pushing turtles on me the way people push drugs. And Anthony turned to me slowly and he was just like, I am too. I am also a turtle pusher. And I was just like, what?
Uh-oh. It's true though. It's true. Nobody wants to, this is a bad analogy and I'm sorry, but nobody wants to party alone. It's more fun when you can share it with others and enjoy, it's a community, and we're going to talk more about that. This is all part of that. Obviously we've had a lot of guests on from Connecticut too. So this is odd as well, but we don't even mean to do that. We're just close to each other and it makes sense to have folks on. Mark, you deserve to be on the podcast, but we'll get into all of that more, this sense of community and building something.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway.
Before that, I think we had just someone asked really quickly, do you know the subspecies of your Russians?
No. And at this point, I'm just happy to make sure they're doing well and thriving for me. Eventually, one day, maybe I'll working on a subspecies. But right now, I just want to keep them happy and healthy. So,
yeah,
plain and simple. I know they're out there, but at this point, I just want to keep healthy animals.
Mm-hmm. And then James also asked, what are some of your struggles? I think you did answer that already about your Russians, but how about some struggles that you're facing with building all of your enclosures? How hard was it? I know you said you had some help from your stepfather, right? What are some other struggles that you ran into?
So all the enclosures on the ground, those ones there that you're looking at right now, I did those all by myself. You know what my struggle is? I want them bigger and I want more plants. That is my struggle. I've run out of room. And my partner won't let me do it, but I would love to add more enclosures and just keep going. But there's no room in this yard for me to do that. As far as the struggle on the enclosures, I'm very happy with all the enclosures that I built outside. They have been very easy, maintenance wise. I love it. It's just easy. I go out there. It's basically little gardens, and each one has their own little ecosystem specific for that species. Mm-hmm. So like I said, the far left one is the Chinese box turtles. The middle one is the 3-toed box turtles. And the one to the right is actually a marginated Herman's enclosure right now. There's a good picture. So those are the ornate box turtles. They got moved into the blue one under the window, which is the old Russian tortoise enclosure.
Got it.
Yeah, so they got moved into that one. But if you go back to that picture, I talked about the hibernacular, and that's the hibernacular. So that goes underground about 2.5 feet. It's cement slabs all the way around it, filled with soil and leaves. And then cement 2 foot by 2 foot pavers on top, and so it's 6 feet long as well, and they get to go under there and hibernate. These guys, I didn't know I wanted this species. They're fun, man. I hope I do well with them. They're the one that I was told was going to be really challenging, but they have done really well for me, and they are very personable. I like this species a lot, actually. So
yeah,
it's beautiful species too. So
I agree. So we have a question here from Damon. He wants to know, do you choose your plants based on species? If so, can you go into that a little bit more? Mark is the plant god, so I'm interested to hear this.
I would love to tell you the Chinese box turtle enclosure has plants from China and stuff like that. That is not the case. I literally plant for them to get their best coverage and stuff like that, as safe as I possibly can. Both the box turtle enclosures do have fruit trees in there. The three-toed box turtles have a peach tree in there. They have strawberry plants and blueberry plants. That's the three toes. The Chinese box turtle has a bunch of strawberry plants in there. And I will be planting a blueberry bush in there as well for them. Just stuff for them to forage on their own. They definitely like eating their strawberries because they're always just one bite taken out of it and they go on to the next one. So that's kind of cool. And then I wanted to put a fig tree out there for the three-toed box turtles, but fig trees have a weird sap that can be corrosive. It's supposed to be very toxic to cats and dogs. I don't think it would bother the turtles that much, but I don't want to give it a chance either. So now I just throw figs out there for them.
Yeah. So if I die and I come back as a turtle, I want to be a turtle in your care.
I will do my best to take care of you, EmmaLee.
Thank you.
That's sweet. That's sweet and weird.
So what do we have here?
These are so I have a little bit more turtles than I'm supposed than I need, and I built these to house the hatchlings during the day. So I would put the Russian tortoises out there. That's my babies that I hatched, and then back there are Dalmatians, and I have the ability to that middle piece to take it out and make the enclosure bigger as they get bigger. The middle enclosure has some 2-year-old three-toed box turtles in it. And the last enclosure doesn't have anything in it. So, yet is the key word. I am not adding any more species as far as I know. So this is where I'm at.
Until tomorrow, at least.
Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoy planting it. I ask a lot of questions from our friends and stuff like that. What kind of plants? And I also study what I can see that's edible if they accidentally eat it and stuff like that. So a lot of daylilies, a lot of hostas, spirea. My friend Anthony informed me about that plant, and I guess I have tons of spirea in my yard. I had no idea that I could put it in there, so I have spirea everywhere now, which the tortoises don't seem to eat. And I did a lot of rosemary and heather and a lot of herbs. They don't like the aroma or the smell, so they don't tend to eat those things. So they don't eat the rosemary, they don't eat the heather, they don't eat the thyme. I like this, and it keeps the enclosure smelling pretty good, which I like. So they do dig underneath them, so I've had to replace a couple plants here and there, but they're not eating them, which is good. So
yeah. And
then the hostas, because the tortoises do like the hostas, I put little towers underneath the hostas. So I took a flower pot, cut the top off the top, so it's kind of like a cone. So the hosta can grow out, but the turtles can't climb up to get to it. So
so smart.
Yeah, well, that's worked really well for me so far. And they haven't figured out.
You did that to a hosta at my house. You did that to a hosta at my house when we were putting it in, and then the deer came and ate it.
but the tortoises didn't, did they?
Correct. That is correct.
So I made it tortoise proof, not deer proof.
There is a distinct difference between those two things.
A little bit.
It's true. One can hop a 4-foot fence like it's nothing.
And
doesn't help much.
I really do enjoy the garden part of the enclosure. I like getting out there, getting my hands dirty and doing stuff. Like my biggest challenge now is I'm over it. Like there's no more I can do to those enclosures, and I'd love to do more. So Anthony's trying to talk me into putting a greenhouse over it, and I'd like to. We'll see.
I just want to be able to help you with something. You've helped me so much with my projects. I want to be able to reciprocate.
I enjoyed it a lot. So it was my pleasure to work on your greenhouse with you. Very much so.
Let's talk a little bit more about some of the projects that the two of you have collaborated on. So I know that you helped Anthony build his infamous greenhouse, right? I
did. I showed up a few times and stayed away from the nail gun as much as possible. But yes, we had a good time building it. It was a lot of fun, and he had a vision, and it came together really well. So yeah,
it was good.
It was a good time.
Mark has a knack for. I kind of spin my wheels a little bit where I have ideas and I'm kind of thinking through things, and sometimes that takes a little more time than is advantageous. And Mark has a way of saying basically go or get off the pot sort of thing. And yeah, he does the same thing in other groups that we're involved in, which I really love. He's an action oriented person. And for me, that's just a great partnership to have. In addition to that, he has a great knowledge base in areas where I don't. So I know a lot about turtles. That's it. And I'm not trying to toot my horn. There's a million things I'm still trying to learn, but certain areas that would behoove me to know more, like fish and plants, horticulture, and bringing that into my turtle operations has been a challenge for me for decades now. And now it's finally starting to come together. I have elephant ears and banana trees and peace lilies and monstera and all sorts of plants growing in my basement that has no windows. So, and that's because of Mark, his suggestions on lighting and his suggestions on what plants to use and where to put them in the enclosure and what species to put them with. It's been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, I'm not trying to blow steam up anywhere, but Mark, you really are a jack of all trades, just because it's for all of us in the turtle community, we can all talk turtles. We all know them and understand them. And I'm throwing myself in there too. So, but you know a lot about lighting, and lighting is a whole other ball game. But not only that, you also know about filtration. That's another ball game on top of that. And then you know about plants and building beautiful enclosures. It's just all of it combined is really helpful. And I know especially for us, in addition to Anthony, you have helped kind of inspire better habitats. You came and you helped give some pointers on the Spangler Eye exhibit that we have. And I was trying really hard to impress you because yours are impressive and I don't think our habitats are impressive. So I was like, this needs to pass Mark's inspection. So.
I think Riverside has beautiful, awesome enclosures. You guys do a great job. So that's what I want, exhibits, and you have exhibits. So that's exactly what I like. So
Anthony, the first time Mark came to see the Spangler Eye exhibit when we first set it up, he was just like, it's nice. Yeah. Do you mind if I stop by tomorrow? I just have some things I want to add. I might tweak it. I'm going to change it up a little bit. And I was mortified.
What a jerk. Who would do that? Who would do that?
They never worked with the species before.
Fix it?
I think it's great. You did it in a very nice way. And that's the thing, right? We are like, I always use the term to describe animal people. We are rabid animal people. We really care about what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And you felt a certain way when you saw it, and you pushed in a polite way. That's the best thing we could do. I think a lot of times with animal related stuff, people just hate, I said, I brought that animal there and then they kept it like this. And then you talk crap behind the scenes. That's not helping anybody. Like, go and push in the way you need to. I mentioned how you push very well, and push in your way, but do it in a very respectful way. That's one of the things that's beautiful about you, my friend. Just saying.
I got to say, I know we're going on to that segment soon, but this community is amazing, and working together with you guys and just the people I've met, that the knowledge spreads freely. Like, they're willing to share the information. So, which is great. Like, I don't think that happens with a lot of the other industry animals out there. You know, they share the information. They want to help you get better at what you're doing. And I say it all the time. I really believe we all can do better. So, you know, as long as we're taking care of it and trying to do better and improve ourselves, I think it's great. And this community does that for me. It really makes me happy to be part of it. So very much so.
Yeah. And I want to talk a little bit about the community that we're building here. So Steve, I hate to talk a little bit more about Connecticut. I don't want you to feel like an outsider here, but between Mark and Anthony, the two of you are really creating a community in the Connecticut area for turtle lovers. And I don't know, was that intentional or was that incidental between the two of you? Intentional?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you know, we have the 2 years running now. We have the cookout, the barbecue, the turtle barbecue, where we were not barbecuing turtles, but it's called the turtle barbecue at my crib. And it's all about, you know, building a community. Like, obviously there's risk involved in that. Luckily I'm home all the time, but you know, there's risk involved. A lot of people choose to be quiet about what they have, and they choose to keep things, you know, close to the vest, because they're scared one day they might get in trouble for what they have, or they're scared that somebody might come and poke around and take some of what they have or whatever. But I think, you know, I was put on this earth to help build a community where people are supported and where the next generation can be shown, you know, some of the things that we learned the hard way, because maybe at certain times we didn't have someone there to show us. And Mark is absolutely a part of that. Mark's been a part of, I hate to use the term pet trade because that's such a negative connotation, but you know, Mark personally knows Bob Kraus, who wrote the amazing book Turtling and is a leader in our community in this conversation that we're having right now. And you guys know each other, right, Mark? How do you know Bob Kraus?
I worked for Bob Kraus.
You did?
Bob Kraus yes. Bob Kraus used to own a company that had nothing to do with turtles. He owned a small company called Super Pet, which was a hamster company. And me, this big, you know, burly man, went to pet stores to sell hamster cages. That's what I did. He hired me, and
classic.
So yeah, he hired me. So my start is I worked in a pet store, and I was there for a very long time, getting nowhere, making minimum wage and just getting by. And Bob Kraus gave me a shot, and I am now been with that company that started with him 22 years now. So
that's amazing. See that?
Yeah.
So the small world, but you've been in the pet industry for all those years, decades now, dare I say decades again. And so you're someone who I lean on. You lean on me a lot, and I lean on you a lot as well. And I think we've taught each other a lot. And that's the idea of this community. If we weren't open, I mean, I had never met you before, and you came to my house. So if we had never done that, then this friendship and partnership may not be on the fast track. And it's just what I believe in. Like, it's all about supporting other people, coming together, sharing information, and helping each other grow. You and I have both grown so much in our knowledge and abilities and everything, and our success because of each other. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, the community. Yeah, exactly. And let's be honest, I became friends with Anthony because he had something I wanted. So turtle knowledge. It was turtle knowledge is what I wanted, and he had it. So I had to become friends with him. So
what's the next step?
And him and his family have been very inviting to me, and opened up their house multiple times for me. So I can't ask for a better, closer turtle friend in the area. So
yeah,
that's really
appreciate
sweet.
you, brother.
So
EmmaLee, you had a question.
Yeah, what's the next step for this turtle community in Connecticut that the two of you are building?
I think there's 3 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more than 3 too. It's more than all we need is 3. We've got more than 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to hard release it, Mark? Go ahead.
Mark,
we'd like to welcome anybody to come join the Connecticut Turtle Club. No, Turtle.
I think it's Society. Yeah.
The CT Turtle Society.
Yeah.
The Connecticut Turtle Society. We'd like to, if anybody's in Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and wants to come join us, we are going to have 4 meetings a year. and they're going to be hosted at Riverside. And we will have guest speakers to talk about everything from species specific to enclosures to a future with turtles. So I'm excited to be part of this. It's awesome. And thank you for including me to be part of this.
Yeah, of course. That was a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's the truth.
Connecticut Turtle Cult.
Connecticut Turtle Cult. There you go. We didn't think of that one.
The idea, I mean, we're here, right? We might as well just do it. And it's not stepping on anyone's toes. I will still be getting to like every New York Turtle and Tortoise Society meeting that I can. And let's be honest, societies and these reptile, societies have really died over the last few years. And we just feel like if there's a great venue that's worth going to already, then it makes sense to try to, build something around that. And we've got a lot of people who are willing to, step in and host meetings, do talks, that sort of thing. So it just made sense to do it. And it might be I think it's going to be a small but mighty venture. We've got a Connecticut Turtle Facebook page that's got like 1,000 people that follow it. So I think we might be able to get some people who are interested in turtles to come out, talk about their animals, learn about some other animals. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, and right now,
it will be great.
The first speaker is actually going to be Mark. Yeah,
that's
so
right.
If you're enjoying this, then definitely stop by Riverside. What's our first date? October something?
Is it?
She said it's our first date.
I should have been better prepared. I apologize. Well, we'll post the dates at some point, but October.
I have it as October 13th.
Yeah. All right. Mark will be speaking, so everyone, please come and join us.
It's a big day. Yeah, if you're in the tri-state area, New England, whatever, yeah, come and check it out. Yeah, so it's tough with our core group to find because Kevin Minto works retail, Kevin Pollock works weird odd jobs that always take him to like New Jersey and New York all the time doing field work and different weird reptile related stuff. So Sunday early evenings were the time that worked for everybody. So that's when it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe my talk is going to be on keeping exotic turtles in Connecticut. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. That's what my talk is.
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
New England.
Yeah, New England. So yeah. So that's the plan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. Cool. I got lots of photos and a PowerPoint.
I'm so excited.
Man, you already have a PowerPoint?
I wrote it a while ago. Yeah. When I was building the enclosure from every step, I documented it. So that.
Have you reached out to James or Russ or Michael about TTPG to speak there? You're ready.
Maybe.
I've
talked about it, but this is my first presence in this turtle community outside of Mark's circle. So I appreciate it and thank you. I just didn't know I was ready or if I am ready. So we'll see.
Yeah,
maybe Connecticut Turtle Society will be my deciding factor.
Yeah. And apparently we're going to have to live stream now for folks in, Kentucky? Yeah.
Yep. I think this is going to be great. And we need to get out of Connecticut. We need to get off Connecticut now and move on to maybe, EmmaLee, what do you think? The state of Florida?
Yeah, let's talk about Florida.
Just choose a random state. Florida sounds good.
So tell us about the beginning stages of your last trip to Florida, Mark. How did you and Anthony decide that you were going to bring 15 other people along with the two of you? What was that about?
We got to give credit where credit is due. Charlie Moorcroft had a vision. Had a vision. He thought that there were enough facilities in Florida to warrant attention for us to learn and be better keepers. And Charlie pulled it together. He asked what we thought. And we're like, this is a great idea. And then he asked, who should we invite? And it just all fell into place. And Charlie is the brains behind that. So the very first Florida Turtle Tours took place and we ended in this year in August, and we ended up going all through Florida, and then last stop Daytona, and it was great. 15 people that we were all stuck in the same house, and nobody killed each other, and yeah, it was
real
awesome.
world. Yeah.
It might as well have been.
14 boys and one beautiful girl, and all I can say is a lot of you guys stink.
I do. I do. That's fair.
So before we bring all 15 of them on, no, just kidding. I'm gonna out everyone right now. I'm coming for all of you. I already told Anthony that I was gonna share this little tidbit. I'm telling it now in front of the whole entire world. So listen here, folks. I was the only girl, okay, on this whole trip. And we all shared a house, as Mark said. Every time I went to use the bathroom at the Airbnb, I was not the first person to use the bathroom. I was not the second person to use the bathroom or the third person to use the bathroom, but I was the first one to unwrap the bar of soap. You guys are nasty, disgusting, all of you. All of you. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I'm definitely guilty. I will eat a sandwich in one hand and have a turtle in my other hand that's pooping down my wrist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, I mean, what do you want from me? I'm on vacation without my wife and kids, so then I can really get gross.
Yeah.
Florida turtle. I mean, as far as, yeah, you guys are all gross. I gotta say that first of all, but it didn't get gross. It didn't get really, really gross until that one night we went out herping. Mm-hmm. And by the time we were coming back, I'm like, oh my God, everybody in here stinks. Like, I couldn't wait to get back and take the shower. And all I'm going to say is not everyone went back and showered. I'm just saying.
How could you? It was 4 a.m. What are we going to do? Start a line and shower for 2.5 hours? No way. No way.
Most of the places had more than one shower, just to be clear.
Yeah. That night I did have my own private shower in my room, so I most certainly showered that night. I don't know if
so
you
nice
see,
of you to everyone else.
Yeah, the chat is lighting up right now, by the way.
I'm sure I'm getting some hate mail here, but you guys stink.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Is there anyone joining us? Some people are joining us, right?
Yeah, I told him 8 o'clock, so they'll probably be hopping on any moment now.
Yeah, that's good. We can still do more of a lead in. I want to just call out, one of the things that we tried to do, Charlie being the main person behind all of this, and then Mark and myself kind of just helping him with the planning process, in addition to some boots on the ground in Florida, is that we really wanted to try to, first of all, it was invite only. Anyone who didn't get an invite, don't feel bad. It wasn't like that. We were all busy and we were just throwing names out there. There were even names that we thought of and then didn't even invite because the list got too long too fast. So it's not really like a who's better than whoever. It was more like who do we think would say yes? Who do we think would give us a small deposit so we could pay for the things we needed to pay for? And what we really tried to prioritize the next generation. So we wanted to have a group of folks who were not all old and bald like a couple of us are. Mark's not bald, I'm bald. And to get, and it's funny, a lot of them were calling me dad when I was driving, which was awesome because I got to drive the 12-passenger van. It made me feel special. But it was all about bringing together, creating a new, because I've built a community for myself, my own personal community of people that I can reach out to support me and all of that. But if you just kind of stay in that comfort zone, you don't learn from the new up and comers that are bringing new ideas and who also need support. So it's I feel like it's my obligation, and I know that you guys share in that, to support people and bring people in who are newer, if that makes sense. So that was a big thing that we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to mention that we went and saw some amazing people. We saw some beautiful facilities that just were amazing, that these people opened up their doors for us to walk into with not knowing any one of us. You know, Phil never even met you in person, right, Anthony? That was the first time you ever met him? Yeah. Like there were.
We're very close, but we had never met in person. Several people that I knew really well I met on this trip, which was incredible.
Yeah. So it was just the fact that Charlie was able to network enough to allow 15 unknowns to walk into their house was pretty awesome. So, 14 unknowns and Anthony. Sorry.
Yeah, it was great, and the hospitality. I mean, Ty and his staff at Iguanaland didn't just provide food, but like cooked food for us and gave us the run of the place. You know, Ralph and his amazing wife, who I believe the term that EmmaLee used was aggressively hospitable, I think was the word.
Oh yeah.
But it's true. It's just like that Jersey, you know, like what do you want? Because it's not, do you want something to eat? It's what do you want to eat? Because I'm going to bring you something. You tell me nothing, I'm going to bring you a cookie that you didn't ask for. So you don't want me to surprise you. What do you want? Because I'm bringing something.
Those brownies she made were delicious.
It was incredible. But that's the whole point, right? Is this community, there's people who care and they just, you know, you see everything that's happening with like politics and all the negativity around the world and everything that's happening. And it's like, people are still good. And even in the animal world too, right? You see people getting arrested and people, you know, mad at this person because they messed up a deal that we had and blah, like that's not what this is. I saw a group of very appreciative, respectful, happy turtle nerds who wanted to connect. And most of them were from the next generation. And I don't think that's what people normally think of. They think, oh, these young guys are coming in and they don't know what they're doing and blah, blah, blah. So I can't tell you enough how much it meant to me to see. And the stock in my little brain for a lot of the people that we were with is through the roof because of the experiences that we shared together.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that was a really good message there from Charlie. He just gave everyone that we visited a nice little shout out there. Yeah, absolutely. So these are all the places that we went. We visited Phil, Ralph, Ty, Sam. I think we saw him at Blake's, right?
Correct.
Is that right? Okay.
Correct.
And then Kenan and Matt Person, he was our guide for herping. And so we were out from sun up until sunset. And then after the sunset, we were all out herping. And Matt just took us out. It was incredible, the whole thing. So thank you to all of those people. Are they ready now? Steve, can we bring some of our friends on?
There we go.
Austin.
How's it going, guys?
What up?
Hey, welcome.
Howdy.
Welcome to the Pondcast.
Yeah. What do you have to say for yourself about the bar soaps, huh?
Hey, look, you know, me and Max had our own room. I took a shower. Mark, I swear I did.
So what were your favorite places that we visited?
For sure, Ty's place was just immaculate. I mean, you know, I talked to Ty when he first started the park. He was wanting some Greek tortoises and stuff like that, and I had some golden Greeks that he wanted, and it was kind of cool to actually go there and actually see them in their setup there. So I just really liked how much diversity he had. I mean, it's just, you could literally spend all day there, probably several days, just watching and observing and trying to intake all the knowledge that's been put into each animal enclosure, and I still don't think it would be enough to capture everything.
And the fact that he let us go free, man. I mean, he gave us the key to the city.
Yeah. Where else can you do that?
Nowhere. Like
exactly.
God. James, I don't know if he's popping on. James was literally underwater in some of those enclosures, scooping up turtles. Like he never shot.
He was like the homeless guy that I found on the street that we brought along.
Yeah, like it was crazy what Ty let us. How much he invited us. It was.
Yeah.
Ty, thank you so much for giving us that chance. And the food. The food was delicious. So yeah.
Hi, Sam.
Hey, Dad.
Classic. It's funny you talk about Ty's place, guys. I didn't actually get to see Iguana Land. I have seen it in the past, but our van, the wheel was almost falling off to the point where as we're driving through the entire state, I couldn't go above like 60 miles an hour, started violently shaking. And people were like pulling up to us and beeping the horn as they were passing us to like get our attention, to be like, your wheel is going to fly off. And it actually wasn't going to fly off. Well, there was a flat tire, which Andrew and Dawson fixed. Dawson Lawler, Texas State Tortoises, and Andrew Hermes, Arizona Tortoise Compound. They fixed the tire. Then it was flat again, and we went to a tire place, and we all sat there. I have a picture of 12 of us in the waiting room waiting for the tire to be fixed. It gets fixed, and then the car's not fixed because the axle was broken. So when we got to Iguana Land, it was done. We had to throw in the towel, and Charlie and I had some alone time. We got to drive 45, 50 minutes to the airport to get a new van to then drive back to Iguana Land. So by the time we got back, it was dark out. It was over. I ate some of the leftover food that was maybe getting eaten by bugs at the same time, but that's okay. It was still lovely. But Sam, what was your highlight of the trip?
Oh man, I don't know. It's just it takes me back to the very end after it ended, when we put out that survey, and it was like, what was like your favorite stop? And I was like, it's hard to put it down to one, because each stop had something different about it that made it so special in its own way. Like for example, the first stop that we went at, Phil, like as a private keeper who not like barely anybody knew, his setup that he had was phenomenal. And it really inspired me to like make a lot of things that I would like to implement in my collection. But then you get to people like, Kenan, who have these like almost facility like type places. And it's like, well, I want to do stuff like this too. Or have a large area where you're putting multiple different types of exhibits or enclosures like Thai parks in a generalized area. Just like each place had its own special part to it that I wish I can just combine them all into one,
I think that's great. I think that's a sign of a good trip, right? Is that I wouldn't want to change any of them because each one brought something different. That's really awesome. One of the things that made me happy is when I asked kind of midway through the trip, the plan was for us to do visiting collections during the day, like EmmaLee spoke to, and then at night herping. And which one do people prefer? Because I know some people really prefer getting out in the field. We had people like that with us. Brendan from Colorado is like that. Then there's people who are kind of 50-50, but then there's people that are more keepers. I'm more of a keeper than a field person. I like to go and visit people out in the field. I don't like to go out in the field every day like my friend Kevin Pollock does. He'd be out in the field 7 days a week with ticks on him and just not changing his clothes and just living his best life. And when I asked that question, the answer was both. That people, no, keep them both because we're enjoying the mix of both. And I just want to call out too, Austin, when we were done, Charlie and Mark and I had already discussed setting up a survey, but we didn't discuss it with you. And then you came out of nowhere and said, hey, I think we should make a survey. It was like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. We were just talking about that. And then you didn't only say we should do it. You said, I'm going to do it. I'd like to do this. This is something I have experienced in, and I'd like to put this together. And that's another piece, again, that I think is a microcosm of this group. You weren't just making a suggestion. You had the skills and you wanted to actually do it, and you really brought something to the table. So again, that idea of community, we're not just here, what can you do for me? But I want to be a contributing member of this community.
Right. Yeah, and I think a lot of the members that were there wanted to do just that. With it being the first time, all meeting of the minds, really, it's like this was already amazing, but how do we continue this? And that was like the question. It was like, for me, I wasn't going to go unless my buddy Mac went. He was dealing with some stuff with his collection a couple of years ago. Texas had that big power outage and he lost literally almost everything. So, the bounce back, the recovery from something that tragic. I get it. Anyone would want to throw the towel in. So a lot of that, bringing people that have kind of lost that passion and reigniting that, I think that's what this trip did for him. And being able to do that for other people, I think that's what it's all about. Or just, getting people synced in and understanding like, hey, maybe my setup's not that great, or oh wow, like I didn't know that. I wish I could do this with my animals. Oh, actually you can do it this way. Oh wow, okay.
Oh yeah, the networking and the knowledge in that van, and being trapped in the van so you had to talk to each other was just awesome.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like it was the knowledge in there. I mean, every one of them brought something to the table. It was awesome. And
It's true.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And to be fair, like Anthony said in the beginning, you know, if you didn't get invited, it wasn't because we were we only had so much space. We didn't expect everyone to show up. Let me just say that.
That's true too.
We were hoping a couple of you guys backed out, and none of you backed out. So to be fair, it was pretty impressive that you all committed and actually stuck to it. And I'm glad everyone did, because everyone brought something. And it was awesome.
100%.
Charlie, thank you.
Can you guys
To
hear
kinda
me?
go
I just had a
off on
microphone
that.
issue.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Sam, I had a question for you. Do you mind?
Yeah, ask away.
Okay. Speaking of being stuck in the van, can you walk everyone through what happened when we had 14 people in a 12-passenger van and maybe were questioned by
Oh yeah, so this was great. It's pitch dark out at this point. I think it was our first night all together. We'd gone and see some really cool places, and we're like, okay, let's go. We're gonna go herping out in a little alcove of the Everglades, about an hour away. So I think on the way there, it was myself, and I think it was either Austin or Max first. I don't remember, but we are sitting in the back of the van, like where the trunk is, because we didn't have enough space, and we're like covered in sand enough so it's like really, really uncomfortable, and like you're just like starting to ache in like the most worst areas. Well, we're driving along the road and we just see police lights come up. And we're like, oh great, like they think we have like an illegal drug bust or something. Well, it turns out Anthony didn't turn on the headlights or whatever to the van, so the cop just like walks past and he's like not looking into like the very back. And we're like, dude, he definitely sees us. Like we're so dead. And we got off really easy, thankfully. But no, it's just things like that actually made it so exciting. And I know, ignore the hole in my roof too. We just had a plumbing issue. But I remember specifically Charlie you could tell he was so stressed about a lot of things. Like, is this going to go good? All this. And it was like all the little things that went wrong, like, you know, like the tire issue or the axle, whatever. It honestly made it so much more fun because it makes it more than just what a turtle tour was. It was just like us coming together, dealing with these random things that are hitting us out of nowhere and all that. That's the part I loved about it. You know?
So I have to ask, who was driving the van that had the axle brake?
Anthony drove the van the entire way.
Yeah, but he drove well. He did not. I'm going to stick up for him on this because I've been in the car with him and I get where you're going with that. I really, really do. But no he drove really well.
No, Mark, I'm just going to interject and say I was in the front. I heard Anthony verbally expressing how he felt about what was going on. He was just like, I have nothing but road in front of me and I have to go 55. And yeah, so it was great. He was not happy about it.
I mean, if I'm by myself, I'll go obscene speeds. If I'm driving with people, I'll go faster than I should. And I was not able to do that. So it was a tough pill to swallow. Yeah.
It's also not the first car part he's broken during a turtle trip. So
that's true. That is true. But here's the deal. I didn't break the axle. So when I was leaving the airport, I had to get them like there's traffic in the Orlando area. So I picked them up in the morning first thing. So everyone got to an Airbnb Tuesday night. I left Disney with my family to pick them up in the morning. And I get in this van and it's shaking, but the side door isn't closed all the way. So it's rattling. So yes, the car is shaking, but the door is rattling. I'm like, all right, there's some kind of weird wind resistance and there's rattling because of the door. So I go to pick them up and I'm like, make sure you close the door all the way, you know, and I'm worried about the door and everything. Well, it turns out it's not the door. This rattling won't go away no matter what we do with the damn door. And now we're pot committed. We've got to get to the first stop. And we knew the whole trip was going to be hey, let's stop 45 minutes, see everything, get your sweaty butt in the car, let's go, you know? And then get to the next spot, rinse and repeat, except much to Emily's point, we don't rinse, we just repeat. And it was bad. It was bad. The van was bad. What's that?
I like that no one discredited that. We were all like, yeah.
No one did. No, it's true. We know. Yeah. I smelled bad. I'm going to be honest. I've got a picture of me with my arm around Kenan for a photo, and that's the worst I smelled the whole trip, that moment. Just saying.
I mean, think about how bad we smelled when we were going to see tortoises. And we're the ones worried about us smelling. Like, you guys sound pretty bad. Pretty bad.
It's true.
I love that smell.
But it's all about the story. Some of the smell is because people were doing crazy. Like, you know, I was going to go into Kenan's big pond that he has, but then once Dawson and James went in, it was like, all right, bye. Go ahead. And I guess I don't have to. I'll just be sweaty. But I mean, I don't know. It's better than having like a flesh-eating bacteria.
And let's just point out, Dawson was in Charlie's car that right after that, and his eyes swelled up and everything else. I'm pretty sure Dawson gave him something from that lake.
It's not a bad theory. The older we get, the more prone we are to things. So that it makes sense that Dawson and James would be, you know, these asymptomatic carriers, and Charlie's on his deathbed.
Yep.
Poor Charlie.
That was pretty funny. Yeah. So for that last leg of the journey, we didn't necessarily split up, but not everyone was packed into the van. And going a little bit off of what Mark said before too, it was kind of nice because once we all split up into different cars towards the very end of the trip on our last destination, heading to Daytona, we were all sitting with different people than we were sitting with before. So it was kind of nice. At first, I was sitting up front. I was a passenger princess. I was chatting with Anthony for the first 2 days. And that was really nice, but I know Anthony. I'm friends with Anthony. And so after I moved I was in Matt's car. I was with Max and Sam. We got a chance to talk. And I was just like, you are some of the most interesting people I have ever met. It was really great getting to know everyone personally. And I think, like what you said, Austin, you were just like, if so-and-so wasn't going to go, then I wasn't sure that I wanted to go. I was really scared because I didn't know everyone, right? I see your names in chat, but then to see you in person and to see your face, it was like completely out of context. So I was really confused. It took me a full day to fully recognize everyone. I was like, oh, I do know you. So yeah. It was cool.
It was cool having something like this come up because last fall, I really wanted to go to TTPG and I didn't have the opportunity to just because of work-related things. So this year, I was like, I'm going to try to do as much as I can to be involved as much as I can. So the first thing I went to was Turtle Fest back in April, and just being there and not really knowing anybody in person, but the friends I made immediately, like Philip Simpson, he's watching this right now. Like, we just all randomly got an Airbnb. It was just really cool to see like just like-minded people just hang out, because it's almost like you guys were all like been friends for a long time, even if we've never met each other. And that's, you know, the reason why I really wanted to take this trip. When I got invited, I was like, okay, I'm doing it. It's just because, you know, I had so much of a good experience at Turtle Fest. To do more little events here and there, it really goes a long way with building relationships with like-minded people.
Yeah, and if we can give a shout out to the TTPG, if you guys are on the cusp about going somewhere, to the community that I met all these guys at the TTPG except Sam and Emily. Everyone else I met there, and that community is awesome. It's just so inviting and so helpful. Go. If you go every other year, go every year, whatever, just go. It's worth going to, in my opinion. And I thank you for inviting me into that community because it's awesome.
Yeah.
And while we're giving shout outs, just one more huge thank you to Charlie too, because Charlie was really the driving force. He pulled us all together. Huge thank you to Charlie.
This was his event, really. I mean, other people helped. This was 100% Charlie's event, and he's all about this. If you don't know, if you haven't seen videos or seen his social media, follow the Moorcroft Conservation Foundation. He's always bringing kids through, and even bringing kids to other people's, McCarthy's Wildlife and to Kenan's place even. And he's doing that because he's trying to, you know, it's going to be someone like Charlie who creates the next Peter Pritchard. You know, it's not going to be Peter Pritchard necessarily who creates the next Peter Pritchard. It's going to be the Charlies of the world who are trying to connect with that younger generation and trying to show them the right way to do things, show them what it's about, teach them about animals that maybe they wouldn't know about otherwise. Can we end with this? We're talking so much about community and people, which is my favorite thing, right? Come for the animals, stay for the people. But for this, because we have these, you know, viewers who actually want to see a turtle podcast, what was your favorite animal that you saw? Can we go through for the five of us and each answer that question? EmmaLee, are you ready to start? Let's go EmmaLee, Mark, Austin, Sam, and then I'll close it out. I don't know if I have a good one though.
So the favorite animal for me from Daytona or from the whole Florida trip.
Yeah, count Daytona too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I learned about the Hamiltonii for the first time ever. I have been a turtle person because I work with them every day at work. And I have always thought, you know, am I ever going to have a turtle on my own? I'm not sure because I'm just like, I don't know if I'm ready. I spend all day 9 to 5 taking care of turtles, right? Taking care of all sorts of animals. And Hamiltonii, I fell in love with them. And that was just seeing them they were at a few of the facilities that we went to. But the very first place we went to at Phil's, I laid eyes on one and I was like, this is it. I fell in love. So that was easy. Easy. Next.
That's awesome. Anyone else who was at Daytona too, follow James, and you could let us know what your favorite thing, either if you were on the Florida trip or if you were at Daytona, let us know your favorite thing you saw. Okay, Mark, you're up.
Turtle-wise or tortoise-wise, it's definitely seeing these big radiateds in nice, big open enclosures. I mean, I know everyone on here knew I was going to say radiated. It was definitely the radiateds. I am team radiated all the way. As far as Daytona, earless water monitor, seeing that in person, and yeah, it was just cool. So those are the two highlights for me. That was awesome.
Awesome.
For me, it wasn't actually turtles. It was seeing at Sam's place the Figensi iguanas that he had. Super rare. I don't know. I'd never seen them before. Always wanted them, but just getting your hands on them it's unobtainium sometimes. And then at Daytona, they had a little Hyosemys depressa. The first time I'd ever seen one in real life. The previous before that, it was a picture probably from Backwater Reptiles back in 2005 when they had them for $199 a piece. Wild caught. And it's just like, man,
too rich
actually
for my blood.
one. Right, yeah. Can't do it now. But but yeah, seeing that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I think for me, there's so many on there, and I wasn't originally a fan of Radiata, crazy enough, but this trip and a Turtle Fest really sparked my love for them, and I'm really trying to get my hands on some in Tennessee. But I think my favorite one I saw was when we were in line for Daytona. One of the guys in our group, Ryan, he had a VIP pass, so we finally get in after waiting like an hour in line. He just walks up with the most beautiful Japonica ever. And I was like, dude, I was all over a Spangleri, and then I saw this and I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. So I think probably seeing that was one of my favorites, or probably my top favorite.
Young Geoemida japonica, the Ryukyu black-breasted leaf turtle, is like nothing else. It's like, I don't know, if Spangleri are like Shredder from Ninja Turtles, then Japonica is like Super Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. It's like next level, man.
Yeah.
I can make a turtle reference, can't I? EmmaLee's like, what are you talking about? I don't know how to explain it, but they look like Super Shredder. They have this crazy serrated, and I don't know what it is. Look at Super Shredder, then look at a baby Japonica, and you'll know what I'm talking about. We should do a side-by-side comparison. But yeah, that's awesome. I think we saw crazy stuff. Albino southern painted turtle, bog turtles. Are you kidding me? Really crazy cool stuff, right? Exactly.
Wow.
For me, though, the biggest one that we saw, just Adolf, who's now called the Professor, but he was named, he's 106 years old, so he was named long before World War II. So Adolf wasn't a bad name yet. And he's it's the first time I've interacted with Galapagos tortoises many times. I've interacted with large ones before, but I've never really been with a 600-pound male Galapagos tortoise who wants a neck rub. That was crazy. And I mean, his head was as big as a human's head, and they have very small heads comparative to everything else. So it was crazy to spend time with him. At Daytona, I was just shocked. I couldn't like move. There were so many turtle people and then so many turtles that I gave myself I had a vendor badge because I spoke the night before, and I gave myself lots of time, and I could not get through the show. I had to leave to catch my flight, and I didn't have enough time to get through the show. That's how much, and I was trying to go. I had like this pit in my stomach that I had to keep moving, and because of the amount of animals, the amount of people, I wasn't able to. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Celadina longicalis is the only snake neck species that's cold, like kind of cold tolerant. And there were some of those there because Paul van der Schouw is this amazing turtle breeder on the planet. And he had some for sale, and I took the plunge. So that was probably the coolest thing that I saw that I wasn't expecting to, besides maybe Rhinoclemys rubida. But there was tons of cool stuff to see. Oh my gosh, if you're on the fence, there is nothing that even comes close to Daytona if you're a turtle person. And I know I hear people say, oh, it's not what it used to be, or it's not that great. Tinley's amazing. No, it's not. If you're a turtle person, it's not even close.
Yeah, I grew up 5 minutes up the road from Tinley, and I grew up going to Tinley, and going to Daytona as a turtle person was the #1 experience I could have ever gone to. It puts everything else in the dirt with how many turtles and tortoises there were, it was incredible.
Yeah. Did you have something too, Austin? What'd you say?
Yeah. I was just going to say Daytona shifted. I mean, about 10 years ago, it was, the typical, you had some rare turtles, but it was primarily, you had your bearded dragons and the ball pythons, but a lot of that's been phased out. And I think the show's starting to become more of a specialty show. And that's I think that's more just what Wayne's trying to push is more people just working with those specialty animals, whatever it be, let it be captive bred and everything like that. So,
I mean, there were some really rare species there this year too. We had the Rhinoclemys, the Rubia.
Yeah, Rubia was there. Yeah.
What was the little? They had the Impressa, right?
Mm-hmm.
There were some really rare species there this year. Like just shockingly, like I'm pretty sure Ryan bought all of them, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Ryan brought every rare species that was available at that show before anyone had a chance.
Yeah, no, when you got that Japonica, I was like, man, why?
Yeah.
He didn't, when I showed him it, like he was on the table, I go, that's a Japonica. He's like, he's already taken out his money. Like he didn't even pick up the container. He already
didn't even haggle. He just said, take my money and get
nothing. He didn't ask me. He didn't go, hey, could you take $100 less for this? No, he didn't even question. He's like, yeah, here you go. Here's a couple hundred.
You got to respect. You got to really respect someone like that, because I'll tell you something. I'm an open book to a fault. I'm the type of person that'll be like on the city bus telling someone about what medication I'm on, if I go to Daytona with 10 G's rolled up in a wad, you guys, and we're on a van together for 3 days, you better believe that I've got 10 G's in my pocket, because I can't keep, I mean, maybe I don't have to be quiet. Like I'm not worried about anyone jumping me for my money, but like you would know. And like, here's Ryan. He didn't once say, oh guys, if you see whatever, or at least that I heard, if you see whatever, I got to get this, he was just ready to go. And he was real quiet about it.
Ryan sent me a wish list before I walked in the show. He goes, if you see these, let me know. And it was funny because when the list started, there were 3 items on it. By the end of that tour, it was like 15 items on that list.
Same thing
I'll screenshot it.
It's funny too, when EmmaLee said she loved hammies, like I went down and I just fell in love with hammies. Like, oh, first time in Florida, huh? As a turtle person. We all have that. We all remember that time that we went to Florida for the first time as a turtle person. We're like, God, I got to get some of these. Oh my gosh. I mean, they're awesome. Yeah, they're awesome. They were on my list.
You're telling me there is a turtle looking like that out there this whole time, and I didn't know how beautiful they were. So
yeah, and you can't like sell them anymore because they're so common. So I mean, in Florida anyway. So
Yeah.
it's about time they start getting distributed. I mean, they have been getting distributed. So anyway, Steve, we got to get you to Florida, buddy. Steve in the chat says that he hasn't been to Florida since before he was a turtle person, and he specifically called out Pangshura. Speaking of Hamiltoni, Wayne had a bunch of hammies and a bunch of Pangshura as well, which are Indian tent turtles. But dude, there were dozens upon dozens of those. And I couldn't help it. And this is no slight at Wayne at all, who's like amazing. It was amazing to me to ask me to come speak. It was such a cool experience. But I couldn't help but think, if I had those, would I drop the price just a little bit to make them move out? But I think Wayne is like, whatever. I'm running the show, like literally. I don't necessarily need to, move all these things out, and I'll just keep them. And I get that too. I've known several like kind of old school keepers where the prices change, and it's like, it's annoying because it's like, it's almost like fashionable what's in right now, all of a sudden China decides they want Quang tongues back, and what was a $30 turtle is now $2,500 for a hatchling.
Yeah.
So it's like, it gets frustrating when it goes the other way, and you're like, no, this turtle's worth a lot. Somebody should pay for it,
Yeah.
that was a beautiful shout out too to the Quang tongue turtle too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. Maremi's Niagara cans.
Stinky turtles.
If it was only a whistle.
So maybe
that
actually, I'm going to propose something that should probably be the scale we measure stinkiness on, is the number of Quang tongues.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
on a scale of 1 to 10 Quang tongues, how stinky was that van?
Oh, the irony there.
It smelled just like a Quang tongue, actually.
Yeah.
Are we saying while getting in the van post us getting out, or what with all of us in the van and what's been soaked into the seat kind of thing?
There's less.
To be fair, the only night that was extremely bad was the night that we went herping that first night. We were out all day. We had a rush to get back on the road to go out herping that night. And what'd we get in at 4 a.m. at that point?
Yeah, and I almost fell asleep. If it wasn't for Matt sitting next to me and talking to me, holding some nonsense conversation, I was probably like drooling and who knows what I was doing at that point. We all would have been dead.
That was a 10. That was a 10 Pondcast on the scale that night. But other than that, I think we stayed right around 6.
Speak for yourself.
You said we.
I showered every chance I got. So don't give me
I showered every chance except the one day that Max came into my room. I had a room by myself, and I happened to be in the bed, not wearing any clothes. And I was preparing. That was Friday morning, and I had my talk. So I was in bed, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to shower. So like, and then I'm like, well, I have to work on my talk. I'm ADD, so stuff just happens. Weird, like. So I end up like under the covers, naked, working on my talk for that night. And then he came in, and he's like in his Texas accent, and he's like, "You naked?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I am." And he's like, "We're leaving in 9 minutes." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So that was the one morning that I didn't shower, but I had a whole plan to do it. So I just want you to know that it was more ADD than it was my grossness at that.
Well, I'm glad you had a plan to shower. It was a concept, at least.
These trips are always like a whirlwind. I'll sleep when I'm dead, sort of thing. Like I'm a shark. If I stop moving, I die. Like, let's just keep going. Yeah. Oh, are we gonna herp? Yeah, let's do it. But that one night I didn't go because I was coming off of a Disney trip with my family where I was doing like 40,000 steps a day and trying to go on every ride in Florida that I can't fit on because I'm too big. So that's a different story.
Like that McDonald's line where it's like, you can't go above this height kind of thing.
Dude, I love it when there is a sign on a ride. My kids are like, "Come on, Daddy, come on." I always am like glancing over to the side to be like, if you're over 78 inches tall, you can't ride this ride. I'm like, yes, I'm so sorry, girls. I really wanted to go. Couldn't do it this time.
Yep.
Well, I don't want the legacy of the Florida Turtle Tours to just be about personal hygiene. So I will say tonight's episode was a really beautiful story about community. So we have the community in Connecticut that Mark and Anthony are building. We have the beautiful community that Charlie is building in Florida. And then also Daytona, because you guys were saying that over the years, it used to be just ball pythons and bearded dragons, right? But now they're listening to what the people are saying. And they're just like, we don't want to just see ball pythons. So they're creating a community there at Daytona, catering it towards what people want. So I think it's a really beautiful theme for tonight was community. Thank you guys so much.
That's a great way to wrap it up. That's terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you everyone who tuned in the chat and anyone who contributed to this or went out in their own community and tried to do something that, share with other people and help other people get better, because that's something we all can do, right? We talk about conservation, saving species. The best thing that we could do is help build other people who can help become a part of this. So remember that when someone's pissing you off or doing something the wrong way and you think, I want to distance myself from that person. Well, maybe just give them real feedback in a polite way, the way that Mark did with the Spangler Eye enclosure at Riverside. Not that Riverside has ever done anything bad, but that's a great piece of this, right? Like lean into it and offer support instead of talking smack behind the scenes. Yeah. Build this community.
Thank you, Austin and Sam.
Amen.
And thank you, Mark, especially.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad to be part of this.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Appreciate y'all.
Adios.
Deuces.